so crucial that we learn and know that love never hurts. Love never hurts. If it hurts, it's not love. It's lack of love. If it hurts, it's not love. Maybe it's obsession. Maybe it's fixation. Maybe it's sadness. But it's not love. Even when you're grieving about love, that's not love. It's lack of love. The pain comes from lack of love. It's so crucial and important to discern and to learn to discern love from lack of love. And if it's hurting, then it's not love, it's lack of love. That is something that really needs to be infused into the definition of love, especially romantic love. It does not hurt. If it's hurting, it's not loving, it's lack of loving. It's also super important to me to say that love is something that comes from within you, and then when you know that you're a whole, complete person and you have love inside of yourself for yourself, then you match up with someone who's also self-loving, and the two people who love themselves can then co-create a loving relationship together. If you believe that you lack love unless you can receive love from this person, then that's actually a very misguided idea of love. You do not have to be 100% healed, 100% fully self-loving in order to attract and manifest and create and co-create love, but you have to have a basis of self-love. If you don't feel love inside of yourself and you're trying to feel loved through someone else loving you, then again, that is not love, that's lack of love. And that's obsession and fixation and desperation. That is trying to create a feeling of love inside of you from an external source, which is not actually love, it's addiction. So true love, real love, happy love, I believe, is created and co-created with two people who already have a sense of self-love for themselves. Again, you don't have to be 100% healed and completely self-loving in every aspect of your life, but you do have to have some solid sense of love for yourself to attract another person who has a sense of love for themselves, and together you're sharing love and creating love. Like I've talked about before, the third entity of we, which is you have your own garden of you, that person has their own garden of themselves, and then together the two of you create a third entity, the garden of we. Please. So two people coming together who both have a sense of self-love create a third entity, which is like the garden of the two of you that you co-create. And it's connected. In order to have a happy love, you must self-love. You must start from love. You cannot start from lack of love and believe that someone else is going to put love in you that isn't already there. That's lack of love. If either person in this attempted relationship or this fixation on a specific person genuinely lacks self-love, it's going to be a very, very challenging, bumpy, most likely unhappy, unsuccessful endeavor to try to create a romantic, loving relationship. There are many people who are in so-called romantic or sexual situations, marriages, relationships, but they're not happy, and one or both people are genuinely sacrificing the truth of who they are, self-abandoning That's a very important concept that I really needed to explore and could still explore more of. How being so addicted to being with a specific person can lead to self-abandoning, because when a person who you're addicted to being with is not actually genuinely well matched to be a loving spouse type partner, but like in my case, I was so hooked on the idea of being with him, regardless of, it was like, yes, we had our obvious well-matched aspects, but then the parts that were obviously not well-matched, which were very, very crucial and important as far as ingredients that go into making a happy, healthy, committed, loving marriage were missing. So we had a lot of alignment and commonalities in some areas, but not in those pillars or that foundation to build our loving relationship on. Those things were missing. And I wasn't actually loving myself. And he wasn't actually loving himself. And a lot of times somebody will be so fixated in what they feel is love with someone who doesn't love themselves, and maybe even believe, like my friend said, and like I guess I have felt, I can love so much. I can love enough for two. I can love you and me enough to make this happy. I can love you enough to heal you into self-love. I can love you enough to make it work. Except I've got to love me enough to make it work with somebody who loves themselves enough to make it work with me. Like I said in some part of this video, where with my ex, I always thought that he looked at things from a lack perspective, saying like, well, I don't really feel like I want to marry you. Prove to me, like, show me. And then every time we didn't get along, he would say, see, we don't get along. We shouldn't get married. And I would always say something like, well, you're supposed to just commit. You're supposed to just commit to each other, and then you make it work. And I mentioned later about that, but that was coming from the lack of self-love for myself, which left out that crucial aspect of, in order for us to just commit to each other and make it work, we actually have to be compatible. So in my mind, I'm like, no, it's not what he's thinking. It's something what I'm thinking. But ultimately, I was self-abandoning what matters to me, because instead of saying, what matters to me should be aligning with someone who loves themselves and who has the capacity to love themselves as well as the capacity to love another, and then specifically in his capacity to love another, be aligned with loving me and me aligned with loving them, and then we together compatibly commit to something that we both desire, that is an aligned relationship, partnership that we want to manifest and co-manifest and live out together. But my lack of self-love allowed me to get fixated on this faulty thinking that somehow I could overcome all of that lack of compatibility. But because I didn't love myself, I wasn't coming from, but because I wasn't actually loving myself, and I was coming from a place that didn't believe that I actually deserve that, even though I didn't believe that I deserved it on a subconscious level. Consciously, I thought, of course I deserve it, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen, and I'm going to pick my specific person, and I am going to commit to that person, and I am going to make it work. No matter what, I'm going to make it work. And again, that shows that I wasn't actually genuinely intimate and genuinely aligned, because when you just decide you're going to make it work, that means it actually doesn't work. You have to make it work, because if it was actually compatible and we both loved each other, and then we both loved ourselves and loved each other in that way, then it would work, and we wouldn't have to be fighting so damn hard to make it work. interesting. I'm finding that as I'm making this video and compiling them, I'm kind of putting the older stuff back. So it's like a backwards, it's a reverse video vlog journal about my thoughts. But hopefully it will all be a very cohesive love coaching session. That is the ultimate intention, that I'm compiling all of these various thoughts about rejection and incompatibility and how it benefits us, and the importance and vital, crucial need, element, ingredient, aspect of self-love, and also the ability to love another person and being compatible. Loving yourself enough to say, I love myself who I am, the way I am. Yes, I am doing my own personal evolution and self-growth and blooming, self-growth and blooming. I love myself enough. I love myself so much that I won't settle for somebody who's not compatible, and therefore I can't be authentic. Genuinely, actually, truly loving yourself means I want to be at home when I'm home. I want to be nurtured and safe and comforted, like Aaron Dowdy said. You need to learn how to nurture yourself and create your own safe, loving environment. And in order to do that and have a partner, that partner has to be compatible with me. And I have to be compatible. We can't be, one can't be compatible with the other. No, it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. Incompatibility goes both ways. And when you're willing to be with somebody who you're not actually compatible with, that means that you're not even willing to say, I love myself enough to want to be at home when I'm home, and to be safe and nurtured, and to be able to actually be real. I need to be who I am. And in order to be who I am at home, I have to be with a partner. If I'm going to be with a partner at home, I have to be with that partner who I can be at home with and be myself. And I certainly wasn't able to do that with my kid's dad, who I tried so hard for 7 years to make it work. And there you go. That's proving to me you're trying so hard to make it work. That's your evidence and your clue that you're not compatible. Because if you were compatible, you wouldn't have to try so hard. It would just work. It doesn't mean you're not making effort. It doesn't mean you're not investing. It doesn't mean you're not showing up. It just means that you're doing those things. It's like when I go to my job, yeah, I have to try. I have to make effort. I have to show up. I have to actually do it. I'm not forcing to make it work, because it does work. Because it's matched and aligned. And I love being there. And I love myself. And I love myself being there.